Welcome to Asian Horror and Crime. Most people see Asia for its bright lights and ancient traditions. But if you look closer, in the places most people avoid, there are stories. Stories of things that shouldn't exist, and people who've done things you won't believe. Tonight, we're going to the dark side of the continent, so, dim the lights, check under your bed, and maybe don't look out your window. Because tonight, we're diving deep into the grim tapestry of Asian horror and crime. Stay scared, folks. Along the banks of the Moy River, the natural border carving Thailand from Myanmar, stands a city that, by all laws of man and nature, should not exist. They call it Shikoku. From a distance, its neon lights pierce the jungle canopy like a fever dream, a shimmering contrast to the absolute darkness of the surrounding wilderness. But beneath the artificial brilliance of its casinos and newly birthed skyscrapers, lies the darkest secret in Southeast Asia. This is no mere gambling den. This is a special economic zone governed by the shadows of a rebel ethnic militia, the BGF, in a cold alliance with a man wanted by the world, a Chinese billionaire fugitive named She Zhijiang. Here, the law is silent. Here, human lives are traded as commodities. This is the chronicle of how one man erected a multi-billion-dollar criminal empire, and how thousands found themselves entombed in a digital hell of their own construction. She Zhijiang was born in Hunan, China, in 1982. But the man is a ghost of many names: Dylan Shi, Tang Kriang Kai, and a trail of other stolen identities. His career began in the seemingly legitimate world of IT, but it didn't take long for him to realize that the true fortune lay in the unlit corners of the internet. His first disappearance came in 2014. When Chinese authorities issued a warrant for his arrest for running illegal online gambling operations in the Philippines, he didn't surrender. Instead, he vanished, shedding his skin, buying a Cambodian citizenship, and weaving a new web in territories where the reach of the law is short and the greed of men is long. Then came the Yatai City project. She Zhijiang re-emerged, rebranding himself as a titan of industry and a champion of China's Belt and Road Initiative. He sold investors a dream, a $15 billion smart city in Shikoku, Myanmar. But the dream was a facade. Beijing publicly disavowed any connection to him, branding the project for what it truly was: a pure, unfiltered scheme of illegal gambling. She Zhijiang did not build his empire alone. He operated through a labyrinth of shell companies, a complex web designed to launder the blood money from online gambling and scams, making it appear as legitimate investments in property and technology. According to investigative reports from Caixin and Justice for Myanmar, these are the primary entities behind the veil. First, the Yatai International Holding Group. Based in Hong Kong, this was the parent entity. It was through Yatai that Zhijiang struck his deal with the BGF militia in Myanmar, using the name to carefully craft his public image as a philanthropist. Then, there was Mizik Technology in the Philippines. This served as his first operational nerve center. The birthplace of the gambling platforms that ruthlessly targeted citizens across mainland China. He also manipulated the trust of the financial world through BC Group and Union Pay. By hijacking the names of giants or creating entities that mirrored official institutions, he moved vast sums of wealth through the veins of the underground banking system with chilling ease. Finally, we find his ghost entities in the British Virgin Islands. She Zhijiang is known to have held at least 3 shell companies in this offshore tax haven. The spoils of Shikoku were funneled here as cryptocurrency, specifically USDT, before being bled back into the physical world as luxury real estate in Thailand and Cambodia. Hidden behind the faceless names of third-party proxies. When the COVID-19 pandemic struck, the halls of She Zhijiang's physical casinos fell silent. But in that silence, a new shadow emerged. He pivoted his empire, shifting his strategy from the green felt of the gambling tables to the cold, predatory world of cyber scamming. the movement of human souls from across the globe into the confines of Shikoku or KK Park is executed with chilling, military-grade precision. This path is often whispered about as the modern Golden Triangle route. Phase 1, the filtration. The hunt begins in the digital shadows of Facebook and Telegram. Thousands of young people, from Indonesia and Malaysia to Vietnam and China, fall prey to the siren song of high-paying job advertisements. They are promised a future in Thailand as customer service or IT staff, with salaries reaching up to $3,000 a month. A dream that quickly turns into a death trap. Phase 2, domestic transit. The trap is set in Bangkok or Chiang Mai. The victims are collected in private vans, told they are being driven to a secure workplace near the border. It is a 7 to 9 hour journey into the unknown, shrouded in a false sense of security. Phase 3, the illegal crossing. Upon reaching Mae Sot, the official world vanishes. There are no immigration checkpoints here. Instead, they are smuggled across the river into military-controlled Myanmar territory. Under the veil of midnight, they are brought to the muddy banks of the Moy River. Small boats wait in the darkness, a seamless coordination with border guards whose silence has already been bought. Phase 4, the barbed wire horizon. The moment they step onto the Myanmar shore, the illusion of freedom shatters. They are greeted by BGF soldiers armed with assault rifles. In this desolate place, their passports are burned or seized forever. They are forced to sign contracts written in languages they cannot speak, binding them to a fate they never chose. The final act, the scam machine. They are then transformed into gears within the pig butchering machine. Forced into a life of romance and investment scams, they spend their days hunting for victims on dating apps, building hollow emotional bonds only to drain their targets of every cent through fraudulent platforms. Escaping from Shikoku is a feat that borders on the impossible. The complex is a fortress, encircled by high-voltage electrified fences and watchtowers looming every 50 meters. Yet, driven by pure desperation, a few have attempted the unthinkable through these paths of death. The blind spot leap. The captives become silent observers, meticulously tracking the guards' rotation schedules. They wait for the sky to break, leaping over the wire under the cover of torrential rain, hoping the thunder will swallow the sound of their escape. The Moy River crossing. Once outside the wire, the nightmare has only just begun. They must sprint through the suffocating darkness of the jungle toward the river. The Moy is a treacherous vein of water with currents that show no mercy. Many who cannot swim are claimed by the river, drowning in the shadows before they can ever touch Thai soil. The Mae Sot safe house. For those who miraculously reach the Thai side, the air of freedom is tainted with fear. They are now undocumented fugitives, hunted by the law and the syndicate alike. They must reach a lifeline, organizations like GASO or their own embassies, praying for sanctuary before She Zhijiang's long-reaching shadows can drag them back into the abyss. Let us listen to the story of a survivor who managed to claw his way out of that darkness. The name used is a pseudonym, changed to protect a soul that is still being hunted. It all began with a flicker of hope amidst the desperation of a global pandemic. Many young souls, including a survivor we shall call Billy, fell into a trap set on the digital plains of Facebook. The advertisements promised a future as customer service staff in Thailand. High salaries, free airfare, and the allure of luxury apartments served as the perfect bait. But those dreams were shattered the moment they touched the border. Within days, they found themselves standing on the banks of a dark river under the cold steel of assault rifles. Facing a bitter reality, they weren't there to work. They had been sold. The moment they crossed into the Shikoku compound, their humanity was systematically erased. The victims were no longer people with names, they became mere numbers in a machinery of modern slavery. The atmosphere held no trace of the city of the future they had been promised. Instead, the air was thick and suffocating, heavy with the scent of damp concrete, cheap tobacco, and the pungent aroma of raw fear. The initiation was a ritual of fire. In a windowless concrete room, their passports were laid upon a table, doused in gasoline, and ignited by men in military uniforms. It was a silent, burning declaration that their path home had ceased to exist. Inside the tightly locked orange buildings, the captives are forced to sit before endless rows of smartphones. Their task is as sinister as it is systematic. They must masquerade as beautiful women to ensnare lonely men across the globe, romance scam designed to drain every cent of the victim's savings. Refusal is not an option. In every corner of the room, there are constant reminders of the price of defiance, small electric chairs ready to surge, and baseball bats cracked from the frequency of hitting human bone. The cruelty in Shikoku knows no bounds. One day, a young man from Vietnam attempted to flee but was ensnared by the barbed wire fence. The following morning, all workers were gathered in the yard for a single purpose: to watch that boy be brutally tortured as a warning. His harrowing screams became a form of mental terror for everyone forced to witness it. The guards would often deliver chilling threats. If they could not generate money through scams, their organs would be deemed more valuable than their lives. Daily life is a relentless 19-hour cycle of forced labor. If daily targets aren't met, physical punishment awaits, ranging from hundreds of push-ups under the blistering sun to electric shocks that continue until they lose consciousness. In this place, a target is the only reason a person is allowed to draw a breath until the following day. For Billy, escape was a pure gamble with death. He slithered through a rusted bathroom vent, crawled across scorching zinc rooftops that burned his skin, and finally plunged into the treacherous currents of the Moi River, the watery veil separating Myanmar from Thailand. In the suffocating darkness, as he swam toward the silhouette of freedom, the crack of gunfire from the watchtowers echoed behind him. Though his lungs were screaming, choked by the river water, Billy refused to stop. To him, it was far more honorable to drown as a free man than to draw another breath as a slave. Even now, though Billy is back in the safety of his home, the psychological scars refuse to close. Every time his phone pings with a notification, his heart stops for a fleeting, terrifying second. Physically, he survived, but the trauma is a ghost that haunts his every move. A part of his soul remains trapped inside that orange building, locked in an eternal wait for the next blow. Meanwhile, across the Moi River, new towers continue to rise, monuments of greed, built upon foundations soaked in human blood. After years of lurking in the shadows as one of the most hunted fugitives by Interpol and Chinese authorities, She Zhijiang's luck finally ran dry in August 2022, in a clinical, sudden raid. Thai police descended upon his location in Bangkok. He was taken into custody on the strength of an international warrant, an arrest that sent a violent shockwave through every scam network operating across Southeast Asia. Since that moment, She Zhijiang has been locked in a desperate struggle to block his extradition to China. The reason is simple: Beijing wants him dead. They seek the ultimate penalty for his role in massive financial crimes and the systematic trafficking of human souls. The legal war over his extradition has devolved into one of the most strained diplomatic dramas between Thailand and China. This is no longer a mere criminal case, it is a high-stakes gamble for She Zhijiang's very life. He fights with the ferocity of a cornered animal because he knows the stakes. In Thailand, he faces only immigration violations. In China, his journey ends in the hands of the state's executioner. Under the Penal Code of the People's Republic of China, economic crimes committed on such a massive and organized scale carry consequences of the utmost severity. There are three primary reasons why Beijing is demanding the maximum penalty: the end of a life, first, the scale of national loss. She Zhijiang's network is estimated to have bled the Chinese people of billions of yuan. To Beijing, this is no longer a simple fraud, it is sabotage against national financial stability. A direct strike at the heart of the state. Second, the deterrent. China is currently waging an all-out war against transnational cyber fraud syndicates. Executing a kingpin of She Zhijiang stature serves as a chilling message to the thousands of other syndicates scattered across Southeast Asia: no matter where you hide, you will eventually come home, only to die. Third, the crime against sovereignty. She Zhijiang is accused of tarnishing China's global reputation by hijacking the Belt and Road Initiative as a front for his blood-soaked casino empire in Myanmar. For this betrayal, the state demands a price that can only be paid in one way. Under the unyielding weight of the Chinese Penal Code, 3 distinct fates await She Zhijiang, each more severe than the last. Article 303. Gambling. For his role in the underground world of illegal betting, the law dictates a maximum sentence of 10 years. A mere fraction of the darkness he has sown. Article 266. Fraud and scams. Because the scale of the financial ruin he caused reaches into the billions of yuan, the state's answer is life imprisonment, a permanent disappearance behind concrete walls. Human trafficking. This is where the shadow grows darkest. China maintains a zero-tolerance policy for those who abduct and sell their fellow citizens. If he is proven to be directly linked to the deaths of his captives, the outcome is almost certain: the death penalty. In the eyes of the law, a life of crime on this scale can only be settled with the ultimate price. She Zhijiang is acutely aware that stepping onto a plane bound for Beijing is a slow walk toward the firing squad. Driven by the instinct of a cornered predator, he began to exploit every crack in the fabric of international law. First, he played the citizenship card. Having renounced his Chinese roots to become a Cambodian citizen in 2017, he argued before the Thai courts that Beijing holds no shadow of authority over a foreign national for actions committed beyond its borders. Then, his legal team unleashed a darker plea. They argued that extradition would be a one-way ticket to a sham trial, a path leading inevitably to torture or the executioner's blade. They invoked the principle of non-refoulement. A desperate legal shield used to block the handover of those facing certain death. Behind the scenes, the air is thick with whispers of corruption. Intelligence reports suggest a massive, shadowy lobbying effort aimed at Thai officials, a desperate attempt to bury his extradition under a mountain of administrative delays and bureaucratic red tape. Thailand finds itself caught in a suffocating vice. On one side, they are bound by the iron shackles of a powerful economic alliance with China. On the other, they strive to maintain a facade of compliance with international human rights laws, a delicate balancing act performed on a razor's edge. In May 2023, the gavel finally fell. The Thai Court of Appeals delivered a crushing blow, officially ruling that She Zhijiang must be extradited to China. The judges declared that his crimes, the digital poison of illegal gambling and massive fraud, are universal evils, crimes that his home country has every right to judge, yet, justice remains suspended in a haunting limbo. Despite the court's decree, the physical handover is a process stalled in the shadows. It is a waiting game that could stretch for months, or even years, as the final plea for mercy sits on the desk of the Thai Minister of Justice, leaving the fate of the gambling kingpin hanging by a single, fraying thread. There is a clinical, technical aspect to this story that is rarely whispered aloud. How does China dispose of its high-profile, white-collar monsters? Often, the state deploys its mobile execution vans, specialized units designed to maintain absolute secrecy. If She Zhijiang is truly extradited, he will likely vanish from the face of the earth the moment his feet touch the tarmac. Beijing rarely reveals the grim details of a kingpin's end until the deed is already done, only then is it announced through state media as a cold trophy of government triumph. In the most severe cases of fraud, the state's vengeance follows a precise ritual. First, the architect's assets are stripped bare, funneled back into the national treasury. Only then is the final sentence carried out, a clinical lethal injection, or a single, silent shot to the back of the head. For men like She Zhijiang, the end is not a spectacle, it is a quiet, systematic erasure. The scales of justice are trembling. There will be profound consequences, whether he is handed over to his executioners or manages to slip through the cracks once more. If he is extradited, it will be a monumental victory for the Chinese police, a signal that the hunt never truly ends. This could trigger a violent domino effect across the scam compounds of Myanmar. As the local protectors, the BGF, realize that she is no longer an asset but a liability. The fragile alliances built on blood and greed will begin to crumble. If he escapes, he becomes the ultimate symbol of the failure of international law. His freedom would be a silent permission for every crime syndicate in Southeast Asia to grow bolder, feeling more untouchable than ever, operating in a world where the law has no teeth and the shadows have no end. Why does this heart of darkness continue to beat, even after its architect has been caged? There are three chilling reasons why this empire refuses to die. First, the military shield. These compounds do not exist in a vacuum, they breathe under the iron protection of the Border Guard Forces, BGF, in Myanmar. In these lawless borderlands, the central government, the junta, holds little more than a ghost of authority, leaving the rebel militias to rule as kings of their own scorched earth. Second, the price of silence. This gambling kingdom is a fountain of blood money, funneling millions of dollars every month into the pockets of local warlords. It is labeled as protection money. But in reality, it is the fuel that keeps the machinery of greed running, making the truth too expensive to acknowledge. Third, the digital ghost. They have mastered the art of vanishing in plain sight. By using cryptocurrencies like Tether, USDT, to wash their sins, they move fortunes through the ether, bypassing the reach of every central bank on the planet. They operate in a realm where the trail is always cold, and the money is always untraceable. To this day, the fate of She Zhijiang following his extradition remains one of the most guarded secrets in the underworld. In the shadow of China's legal system, high-profile monsters do not simply go to trial, they vanish into a void of state secrecy. What follows is a chilling reconstruction of the path this gambling kingpin is forced to walk in the hands of the Chinese authorities. The moment his final appeal was crushed by the Thai courts, She Zhijiang ceased to exist in the eyes of the public. He was handed over to a specialized unit of the Chinese police, moving under a shroud of heavy security. In cases of this magnitude, reserved only for drug lords and master fraudsters, the prisoner is not taken to a conventional cell. Instead, they are funneled into black sites, secret detention facilities operated by the Ministry of Public Security. There, away from the eyes of the world, the intensive interrogation begins. Beijing's ultimate objective is not merely to punish the man, but to incinerate the entire ecosystem he built. She Zhijiang is subjected to relentless interrogation, a systematic extraction of data to dismantle the shadows. They are hunting for: first, the crypto assets. The precise locations of the digital wallets where billions of yuan, stained with the blood of his victims, lie hidden in the ether. Second, the web of corruption. A definitive list of local officials across Myanmar, Cambodia, and Thailand, those who sold their integrity to serve as the silent guardians of his empire. Third, the command structure. The identities of his inner circle, the loyal, right-hand men who continue to pull the strings of this sinister machinery from the safety of the distance. In the iron-fisted realm of Chinese justice, cases involving national security or large-scale economic stability are often conducted behind heavy, closed doors. She Zhijiang faces a barrage of layered indictments, each a nail in his coffin. The operation of illegal casinos. A violent transgression against China's draconian gambling laws, a direct challenge to the state's moral and legal order. Massive financial fraud. Charges tied to the vast web of scams that bled millions of Chinese citizens dry, leaving a trail of ruined lives in its wake. The use of fraudulent identities. His Cambodian passport and a collection of hollow aliases, not just tools for travel, but calculated weapons used to slip through the cracks of international law. The final chapter of She Zhijiang's life will likely be written in one of two chilling verdicts, each a testament to the absolute power of the state. The death penalty. China has a long, grim history of executing those who commit economic crimes of such magnitude that they threaten national stability. As the face of the suffering of thousands of scam victims, She Zhijiang's execution would be more than just a sentence, it would be Beijing's ultimate declaration of iron-fisted authority, a blood sacrifice to prove that no one is beyond their reach. Death with reprieve. A sentence that offers a flicker of hope, yet one that is shrouded in conditions. Under this verdict, the death penalty may be commuted to life imprisonment after 2 years, but only if the condemned soul cooperates fully. He must surrender every stolen asset, every hidden fortune, and every secret he holds, essentially buying his life back from the state 1 cent at a time. Even with She Zhijiang caged and extradited, the dark irony remains: the fortress of Shikoku has not crumbled. Because these lands are ruled by the iron grip of the BGF militias, the machinery of the scam centers continues to grind. The operation often simply bleeds into new leadership or falls into the hands of smaller, hungrier kingpins. It is a chilling testament to the reality of this underworld, that you cannot decapitate a hydra by cutting off just one head. To destroy this network entirely is a battle against a shadow that simply shifts its form, proving that the capture of one big boss is never the end of the nightmare. The saga of She Zhijiang serves as a harrowing reminder that in this digital age, slavery has not vanished, it has simply migrated to the glow of a computer screen. This empire, built upon a foundation of victims' tears, may finally be showing its cracks, yet thousands remain trapped, rotting behind the electrified wires of Shikoku, before you are lured by an overseas job offer that seems too perfect to be true. Remember this one chilling truth. If the salary doesn't make sense, it's because you aren't the employee. You are the product. And with that, we close the book on another chilling tale from the shadows of Asia. Remember, sometimes the most terrifying monsters aren't the ones in folklore, but the ones walking among us, or even the ones lurking in the quiet corners of our own minds. The world is full of unimaginable horrors and unbelievable crimes, and Asia, with its deep history and vibrant present, has more than its fair share. If you made it this far, you've got a strong stomach. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and join us next time for another journey into the unsettling. Until then, keep your doors locked, and trust no one. Especially not what you think you saw in your peripheral vision just now. Stay safe out there, or try to.